Hi, I have in front of me here a Sky satellite dish mounting bracket, which you can see here. Okay, now there's a couple of different versions of these that are on the market, so I'll just quickly go through the key elements of it. This part here is for mounting onto the wall, so basically it bounces onto the wall, and these U-bolts here attach on, and they grip onto these angled pieces here. And the idea is when we tighten them in, it'll safely hold on this bracket into position. Okay, now this is the bracket that has two purposes. It attaches on one end onto the wall part of the bracket, and on the other end it can be attached onto the actual Sky satellite dish, or alternatively indeed you could use these for other types of satellite dishes or indeed TV aerials. So there's two different ways, two types of orientation you can have it. You can have it where it comes out the maximum distance, or you can actually keep it tight to the wall and have it like this. Okay, definitely the most common way of mounting it is this way. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to discuss that depending on the manufacturer of the Sky dishes, the brackets can vary slightly in design. So the U-bolts, the nuts, and this part, this arm will remain constant. The actual part that bolts onto the wall, you can have this type of design, which is quite popular, and also this type here. But basically, they do exactly the same thing. So what I'm going to do here is just cover how I would actually assemble them. So I'll quickly mention both here. If we're using this type of bracket here, what we'd do is we'd actually just come along, we'd slide in a U-bolt here, tighten the nuts on the far side, and get a second U-bolt here, slide it internally like this, and put it in here. Okay, and what happens then is we slot the pole internally here. I'll show this in a moment. But on this particular assembly, I'm just going to show this one here. So what I'll do is I simply slide in the U-bolt here. I'm going to turn this around. Tightens in. The next one. Repeat the same process. Repeat the same process here. Generally, I just hand tighten it at that point. We don't want to over tighten it here because you have to leave room for the bar to actually slot through at this point. Okay, so you can just see, and that's pretty well fully assembled. So the next step I'd go to is I'd actually just tighten it up. Now the tools that we're going to need in conjunction with this to successfully mount it on the wall is we're going to need a ratchet, we're going to need a 10mm and also a 13mm socket. We're going to need a drill bit. This is a 10mm drill bit, and we'll also need this cordless drill here. You could obviously use a powered one. This is just a great one that a normal professional like to use. And then in terms of mounting this onto the wall, most guys are going to come along and they're going to use these plugs and bolts here, coach screws, which you can see. Okay, so what I have here at this point is, just to complete the thing, I have actually come along and I have this bracket almost fully assembled here. I'm just going to demonstrate how to mount this onto the wall. So what we do is we grab our drill bit here. Now what I would normally do at this point is, this is a 10mm drill bit, which I'm going to use for drilling a 10mm hole. Now often what I used to do in my installing days is I just hold this bracket up here like this, and maybe with a 6mm drill bit drill 6 guide holes all the way around, and once I have them marked, take down the brackets and then continue out and drill through the 4 holes. Or alternatively, you can actually come along, hold it up and use something like a marker and mark the 4 hole positions on the wall, right? So once I've completed that part of the process, I'll come along, I'll just grab these plugs here. So in turn, I just push each plug in, and you can see the design of it pushes in and it'll lock it in position. That one's in, and you can see it's flush with the concrete on each case here. So we push them all in, and next I'll come along, I'm just going to grab my 13mm socket at this point. So this one here, I've chosen to have it quite tight to the wall. So it's not fully tightened in all the way. I normally wouldn't do that till I have it in position here. What we'll do here is we'll come along and tighten this one. So I just put the 4 in like this. I normally loosely put on all 4 by hand before I use my ratchet, basically so I can free up my hands to not have to hold the bracket. And also, if you try to tighten all 4 at the one time, or tighten them one by one, you might find it to be impossible to get the last hole in. Now the other thing I'll do is I'll tighten one hole and then I'll go diagonally and tighten the next one. So what we'll do here is I simply come along. Now, some of the professional installers at this point will actually have a ratchet attachment that will allow them to use their drill to actually drive these coach screws in, which obviously is very handy at this point, but I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. And we'll just come in, and I'm just going to step across here. So repeat the same process here. That's it, and I'll just tighten it all the way in. And I won't bore this video by doing the same with the rest, but you can see the same process. I just repeat it here and here, tighten it in, and then what I could do is I can just make sure that this is quite square, so it's going exactly down, and so totally vertical. And you can check that with spirit level if you want, but you can check it quite well with your eye. And what I do then is I just simply mount the satellite dish on. So I could mount the satellite dish from underneath. Equally, you could have the arm sticking out and sort of curving down. Some people actually mount it the other way with the arm curved up. That's fine as well, but in general I think this is the better one because you're sort of more working with gravity rather than against it in terms of keeping it in the down position. So that's it anyway, an overview of how to mount, how to assemble and mount a Sky satellite dish bracket.